You going? Okay. So this Nutrition for Fat Loss DVD, I did it a couple of years ago, and you know, as things go along, things change. And back then when we did this, there was a bit of a problem with fat. You know, everybody had this fat thing. You know, like if you eat too much fat, it's bad for you and all that sort of stuff. You know. But we've progressed a bit since then, and I don't mind telling you that we just need to update it, and that's all this is all about. It's updating it. Yeah. So I've learned a lot, especially in the last 6 months, and made a little list of things here we've got to cover. So for the next 15 minutes, I want you to forget everything you know about diet and exercise and health, and just kind of go blank on that bit for a while, you know, because we're programmed we're programmed right from, you know, for about 30 years we've been programmed to think a certain way. And here's what we're going to discuss. It might challenge some of your beliefs, it won't challenge yours, because this girl's been doing what I've been asking, you know, what we think we might try and do. She's been doing it for the last couple of weeks, okay? So the diet is that it doesn't make you hungry. I've got to put my glasses on. You can eat until you're full. You can eat whenever you like. It will increase your metabolism. You will have more energy. You will feel like doing things. You will lose body fat fast. You will balance your hormones, and you will be healthier. Sounds pretty good, eh? Like the dream diet, you know? And I've heard this sort of thing before, and I've always gone, you know, it's not like that. You know, when you lose fat, you've got to feel hungry, and you've got to go and do exercise even if you don't feel like it. That's how it's always been, eh? But you've been doing this for 2 weeks, haven't you, Karen?
Yep.
Is it? Would you say all those things I just said?
Yeah, absolutely.
You'd agree with that?
Yep. Yep, definitely.
Can I tell people how much fat you've lost in the last 2 weeks? 6 kilograms.
Wow.
Yeah, we just did it today. She's lost 6 kilograms of fat in 14 days. Hey.
Wow.
Actually, come here, Karen. Is that around and just like in your own words, you told me you had more energy today, didn't you?
Yeah, definitely. Heaps more energy.
Yeah.
And don't feel hungry. Never feel hungry. In fact, you probably feel full quicker eating mainly only your meats and proteins. Yeah. Yeah, what else?
Well, I remember you came in, you'd only be doing a few days, and you went like this.
Oh,
yeah, it's working.
Yeah,
and it's going like this.
Bigger.
Yeah.
Have you put on muscle as well?
Yep, was it 3.4 or 4.1 or something?
2 kilograms of muscle and lost 6 kilograms of fat.
Yeah,
Something like
and lost 2.5 kilos on the scales.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In 14 days.
Yeah.
And so...
And no cravings. I'm a real sweet tooth.
Yeah.
And I thought that would be the downfall on this. Always wanting the lollies, the chocolate, and no, have not craved sweet things at all. Probably the only thing that leaving out breads, potatoes, things like that, the only thing I have thought, as opposed to the sweet things, just a nice muffin or something like that, like a savoury muffin. So it's been more the savoury things that I've been going for, and not, you know, that I've been wanting. But you reckon it's wanting the salt and things like that, because when some of the meats, see, I've never cooked with salt, and yet now with my meat, want the salt. Want the salt on my meat. So
actually, there's another myth I should cover tonight, the salt myth. But yeah, we do. We crave things, and the 2 things we crave are sweet and savoury. Those are 2 things we crave, you know. And there's reasons for that, okay? But we can get into little things. I want to get into the big things quick. Yeah. So thanks for that, Karen. Yeah, have a seat, mate. But we'll get into the details of that soon. And the other things I want to go through here, you know, the 8 glasses of water a day thing. I want to cover that myth, okay? The other ones we need to cover is you need lots of fibre, that myth. The vitamin and mineral myth. The food pyramid myth, you know, the food pyramid, you know, we eat lots of breads and cereals, yeah. The saturated fat myth, the cholesterol myth, and the exercise myth.
Is there an alcohol myth?
Somehow I'm going to cover all that. The alcohol myth, there's no myth at all. So, does anyone know somebody who can just, a friend or someone they know, who can eat whatever they like and they don't seem to get fat? Would you?
Yeah.
Would be 100% on that? Somebody knows. Yeah, somebody knows something like that. And there are other people who can't eat bugger all, and they're piling it on, and they just cannot lose weight. Everyone knows that, eh? Okay? So, there's something going on here and it's nothing to do with food. I don't think. Well, it has got something to do with food, but it's not anything to do with energy coming in and expending energy with exercise going out. It's another myth. And it's quite been revelating for me to discover all this stuff, especially the last probably 2 or 4 weeks. It's just got me so excited I just had to go and make another DVD about it, because, and especially with you doing it too, and Evelyn, and getting the feedback from you guys, I realised that like, we're on the right track here, and with Atkins was a diet. Everyone's heard of the Atkins revolution, and probably a few of you people have already done that at some stage way back, Yeah, and everyone knows it works, eh? But there's some things that stop you from doing it, and a lot of it is because they rubbished him and told him he was no good. He was rubbish. But he actually really knew what he's talking about, and now that I've found out more about him and his background and that, I'm starting to figure out what he knew and how it works. We probably know more about how it works now than he did, okay? All he knew was it worked, but we know how it works now, okay? And that's what I want to, might get into those details. I don't know whether we have to or not, but let's see what happens. So anyway, back to the person that can eat anything, and the other one that doesn't seem to eat much and they get heavy. It's all about hormones. You think about your child, you've probably got children that have been growing up. Have you ever seen a child grow up and when they start shooting up and getting taller, they usually don't get fat with it, eh? They just get taller and skinnier, eh? And they can eat like anything, eh? They eat and eat and eat, and all they do is get bigger. So it's not really anything to do with food, it's hormonal, isn't it? Would you agree? It's hormonal when you're growing up, kids. It's hormones, changing hormones. Anyone been pregnant here? Yep. And when you have a baby, have you noticed you put on weight, put on body fat?
In certain places.
And would you agree it was hormonal? Yeah, okay. And if and you have a baby and you start breastfeeding, your hormones change, right? And quite a lot of people lose a lot of weight when they breastfeed, don't they? Quite quickly.
I put it on.
Some do, yeah, that is, but it's still hormonal, isn't it? But a lot of people do, and they lose body fat and they just get back into shape and they say, well, it's breastfeeding, it's hormonal, And then one day, somebody said, the world's getting obese. Well, it must be because they're lazy and they don't exercise. It's hormonal, obviously, everything's hormonal, and I'm going to explain how that actually happens. Boy, where do you start with this? There's so much to explain, so much going through my head. Let's start with this here. I've got it here for a reason. You might as well start with it. And you've got it down there. This is the food pyramid. They came up with this in 1980. Now before 1980, for about 100 years, everyone's just local knowledge, if you wanted to lose weight, you cut back on your starches and grains, which are carbohydrates. That's what people did. It was the easiest way to lose weight. It was quite a normal thing. And then one day, they decided that they decided this. They decided this. You've got your three fields. Am I right over here? You got carbohydrates. You got proteins. Is it IENS? And you got fats. And they decided to give it every gram a certain amount of calories, and they decided grams and carbs would be 4 calories. They decided proteins equal 4 calories, and they decided fat were 9 calories.
Holy hell.
And they just decided they're all equal. They're all, that calories are calorie. That's what they decided. A calorie is a calorie, and if you go and jump on a push bike, you've got to burn off all these calories. So if you had more calories coming in than going out, then you gain weight and add body fat, because all extra fuel gets stored as body fat for later. And if you can't burn it off, you'll get fatter, and if you go exercise and burn it off, you'll get leaner. But I'm telling you, that doesn't happen. And I know it doesn't happen. I've been doing this in this business for fat loss for 20 years, and exercise won't make you lose weight. All exercise does is actually make you hungrier. And we're all finding this out, aren't we? Yeah. I'm not putting down exercise, just that you need to know that over-exercise is the worst thing you can do if you're trying to lose weight. Because we all have this thing going, the harder we work out, or whatever, the more fat we'll lose, and it just doesn't work. Okay? Anyway, some guy comes along and goes, well, look at these fats here. We're all getting obese. There's twice as many calories and fats, so if we just cut out those ones, well, we're going to lose weight. And so it became kind of an idea. Those fat calories are the ones we need to get rid of. And it's probably the animal fats, you know, the saturated fats, they call them, and they call them the bad ones. And it's probably them. So we'll just cut them out, okay? And they decided this around about 1980. Even though all the studies done before 1900 right to this very day don't prove that, and there's nothing that does prove that, that was the theory. Atkins came along in the 60s and 70s, somewhere around there. He was a cardiologist or something like that. He really knew what he was talking about. He was about 50 kgs overweight. And he thought, well, I'll just lose weight, because in that day what you did was you cut back on carbohydrates and you lose weight. So that's what he did, he's cut back on his carbs and starches and fruits and things, lost weight. And he thought, boy, this is pretty good. I've got lots of energy, I've lost the body fat really fast. He started to think, well, why does this work? And he started to look at fats and what they do and how we use fuel and all that sort of thing. And he goes, well, I've got the answer here. I'll write a book. And he called it the Atkins Revolution. The reason he did that is because if he put all his studies in, the people in there would go, well, fat, that's ridiculous. We'll taboo this because we know that it's fat that makes everybody fat, and that's it, you know. And it's pretty difficult to explain, but really, this here has now become what I call a political document. It's nothing to do with health at all. It's a political document. The reason is, the largest portion at the bottom here is grains and cereals and sugars and things like that. And I can tell you around about somewhere between the 60s, 70s and 80s, somewhere in there, the guy that had a lot of like clout over in America there, he was into this hypothesis that fats make you fat and fats give you heart disease and all that sort of stuff. He really believed that, okay? And Atkins came along and sold all these books, and he made about $1 million. Sold 1 million books, made $1 million. Really hacked this guy off. So at about this time, you know, there's lots of things sold, like Coke and breakfast cereals and high carb things. And so these guys, this guy decided, right, I'm going to start a research place. Well, instantly he got all these donations, and he got them from people like Coke, things like that. He got $5 million to build a research building. And this guy also got $1 million just to get started from Coca-Cola and places like that. You know, big industries that sold breakfast cereals and things like that over in America. And so they wanted him to do studies. Well, sure he did studies. Well, what answer do you think he's going to come out with? That sugar's great and fat's bad, isn't it? So this is what happens. And we end up with things like this. The largest portion at the bottom is grains and cereals, rice and pasta and all that sort of stuff. And then we've got fruit group here and a vegetable group here and a meat group over here and the yogurt and stuff over here and some little bits of fat up here. And since 1980 until now, it's been 30 years, all we've been doing is getting more obese. All the literature, all the nutritionists, everything, the doctors, everybody go, well, you know, you're overweight, you need to lose weight, you know, and this is how you do it. We're working on this food pyramid. Well, there's no way you can lose weight eating all these carbohydrates, all these sugars here. Not a shit show in hell. Now here's what happens when you get sugar into your system. And I'll start with the sugar first, because sugar's quite neat, it's quite simple. Here's a sugar molecule, just like that. We'll just pretend it's like a big pill with a middle down the bottom. And we always thought that sugar was sucrose. Well, it's actually not. It's half sucrose and it's half fructose. You know, when you drink that or take it down, and we tend to get a lot in Coca-Cola and sugary drinks, you can't even see it, and down it goes real fast. And it gets into our bloodstream, and the fructose goes around in the bloodstream, and it goes through the liver, and the liver goes, ha, here's some fructose, let's turn it into a lipid, which is basically just a drop of oil. And lipids are in your bloodstream now, so you've got lots of little lipids in there. The other half of that molecule is sucrose, and sucrose gets turned to glycogen or glucose in your blood. As soon as your glucose goes up in your blood, your body goes, hey, we've got heaps of energy in here. In fact, glucose is actually toxic to your system. So it wants to get rid of the glucose, okay? and what it's going to do is it's going to release insulin. Insulin's going to get hold of the glucose and the lipids and put them straight into your fat stores. A bit like honey into a honeycomb. It's just going to store it in there. So that's the job of insulin. It's the only hormone that does that. The only one. They've got heaps of hormones, but insulin stores body fat. The other thing insulin does is it stops the fat stores from being released. So now what you've ended up with is blood sugar, is your blood, without much energy in it, and all the fat being stored in fat cells and not being released because you've got insulin in your body. So what's going to happen when your blood hasn't got much energy in it? Your muscle cells are going to be starving. They haven't got any energy. So your body's going to go, well, what do we do now? We need some energy. Make this person hungry. Get the picture? So as soon as you eat sugar, insulin's going to go up. You're going to store body fat, and then you're going to feel hungry. And this is exactly what happens, isn't it? You know well what I mean, eh? And we all know, you have a bit of chocolate, what do you want? You know, some more chocolate. You have some biscuits at 10 o'clock, you want carbs again by 12. And up to 12 o'clock, you can't wait for more carbs again at 3. You get home, you snack before dinner. You can't wait to get your carbs. You eat dinner, you still feel hungry after dinner, you want something sweet after that. Everyone knows what that's like, hey? It's the addiction that you get from sugar. Now, when I'm talking about sugar, I'm also talking about grains, and that includes cereals and bread and all that sort of thing. These are the two worst things you can do, is have grains and sugars. Those are the two worst. You combine them, it's a shocker. The other types of sugar is from your vegetables, like starch, you know, from potatoes and cucumbers like that. And the other type of sugar is from milk, which is lactose. So they're all going to raise your blood sugar one way or another. And so insulin is the problem. Now, imagine now, you put this in context again, your blood sugar's low, you've just eaten something sugary, your blood sugar's low, and you've stored all that fuel that you just ate, you stored it into body fat. And now, you're feeling like stink because you know, you get sort of sleepy, lethargic, you don't feel like doing anything. When you get low blood sugar, that's what you get like. Your cells are starving. And so, how are you supposed to go out and exercise? You don't feel like it, do you? You don't feel like going exercising, but you feel that you have to. So you try and make yourself do it. It's a really hard thing to do, eh? So now your cells are starving and your body doesn't want you to go exercise because your cells are starving. It doesn't want to release any, it doesn't want to do any work, it hasn't got enough energy to do it with. You see, it's a terrible situation to be in. Now here's the opposite to that. If we can stop insulin from being released, our blood sugars are going to be fine, and there's nothing stopping your fat stores to release the energy that your cells really want. And some of the energy it's going to release, I'm going to introduce you to a new fuel. It's called ketones. And this is what...
It's got an E on the end, Martin. Yeah.
Okay. You know, they equal 4.5 calories, if you want to be technical. So ketones, that's another fuel. When introduced to another fuel. Your body doesn't care which one of these you use for fuel, by the way. It's just fuel. Your body will find a way of using it. If you don't get that there, it'll break down that and use that. If it doesn't get those two, it'll break down that and use that. If it doesn't get any of those, it'll use all this. It doesn't matter. Your body works fine on any of them. But this one here, we never got that when we were this guy. When we were this guy Grok. 10 million years ago, 10,000 years ago, you know, between 10,000 and 20,000 years ago, he ate like this. You know, you want to put bugs in there as well, but I don't think you want to know about the other things he ate, like worms and stuff. But if we ate like this, we're getting quite close to how we ate, okay? We evolved for 2 million years like this, mostly on fat, protein and very little carbs. I've got a story to tell you about the Tokelau. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. But Tokelau, or Tokelau, I don't even know how to pronounce it properly.
Tokelau.
Eh?
Tokelau.
Tokelau. Oh, thanks for that, Shane. So someone has heard of that. And, I think I might know why he knows. Okay.
Yeah.
300 kilometres, 300 miles north of Samoa, there's atolls. They're like coral reefs. And you know, when coral sticks out of the water, you start getting an island with palm trees on, you know. So these guys live up there. Called Tokelauans, and they about 1960s the British government decided, oh well, this is a British colony, it's ours, we'll get New Zealand to look after it. Well, look, how far away are we from that, you know? So they didn't get looked after too good, okay? And around about 1948 an expedition, a ship expedition, I can't remember the captain's name. They're going out and they stop at the Tokelau and they stop at the islands, and the scientists get off and have a look around, and they see that there's no cultivation. They're not growing anything, no vegetables. Like, what are these guys living on? They're living on coconuts and fish. That's all they lived on. And they were really surprised that they were so healthy, because they were lean and muscular and they had no diseases. Actually, the diseases they did have was what was it? Measles and mumps and leprosy. Those were the three things from memory that they had. I suppose they picked those up from the white man. Anyway, this is how their diet looked. There's fat, there's protein, there's carbs. This is the fat here. This is the protein. You'll notice it's higher in fat and very little carbs. And out of this fat here, you know, there's good fats and bad fats, and you know, I'm going to show you what the saturated fat part of this diet was. Everything here. That was almost all 90% saturated fat what they were eating. So they had no heart disease of any kind, no obesity. They were lean and muscular, and they've been living like this for ages. Now, around about 1960, they started to get overpopulated. So the New Zealand government says, right, we're going to let half of them come to New Zealand. And of course the young ones came, the old ones decided to stay. And they thought, well, this is a great time to do a nutrition study. And it's turned out it's been one of the great nutrition studies ever done, right here in New Zealand. And what they did is they watched for 10 years the people on the island and the people that came to New Zealand. There's about 5,000 of them here now. And firstly, what happened to the people on the islands? Well, the trading ships started coming past and they started getting different foods. They started getting flour and sugar and canned food and cheesels. The corn-flavoured cheese snacks, okay? That's what they started getting more of. So you can see the diet would have changed from coconuts to cheesels. You can see this one would have been going up, right? By the way, their cholesterol was quite high. These guys, because they're eating a lot of saturated fat, okay? Their cholesterol was quite high. And this is a really interesting thing. They, after 10 years, they started getting hypertension, obesity, of course, diabetes, and all the heart problems, and joint problems. Okay, they started getting all that stuff
After they had the carbs.
as soon as they got the carbs, the flour and sugar and stuff. Yeah, over the 10 years, they got that quite bad, and you know, so they watched the people in here in New Zealand. And now these people were younger, okay, they were younger generations, so they should have been healthier, right? Because the old ones tend to get it worse than the younger ones. And also they were more physical, because the jobs they got here were in the forestry, physical jobs, and the women were going cleaning in houses, more physical work. They got fatter and worse than these guys on the islands, and they're a day younger. They got, hypertension was twice as bad as, twice as bad as the people on the island. And yet they're doing more physical activity as well. So, it really is, it's clear as crystal that it's carbohydrates, and it's usually flours and sugars that's the worst thing for causing heart disease. What we wanted to do with this diet, by the way, the Atkins diet, the whole idea is to completely cut all that out for 2 weeks. That was his idea. And the whole reason for doing that was because your muscle cells get what they call insulin resistant. If you're eating a lot of carbohydrates all the time and your blood glucose is going up, but then insulin's coming out and it's dropping low and you're going up and down like this all day, insulin is bathed in your muscle cells, but your fat cells, as soon as insulin comes along, they just soak up the fuel, and they take it out of your blood. But your cells are starving down here. Even if you've got some fuel in your body, your muscle cells can't take it up. So you're hungry all the time, you see. And the whole idea of doing this was to cut carbohydrates out altogether, stop insulin being released, and give your cells a break. Let them get their insulin sensitivity back, so that when you start eating carbohydrates after 2 or 4 weeks, your body can use it and you're going to have some energy. Now at the moment, what's happening with you, while you've got stacks of energy, is because your muscle cells, they're not doing too good on the carbs. That's why you were tired. That's why you were tired, right?
Oh,
you were eating
yeah,
carbs and insulin was coming out, and they couldn't take up the energy anyway, even if it wasn't there, because the insulin was scooted into your fat cells. But once you stopped eating that, that left you an opportunity to break down some fats and put some ketones into your system, which your muscles haven't seen for a long time, and they go, choice, this is good fuel. So they're soaking it up. That's why you're putting that weight on and your muscle weight on. Okay?
Yeah.
As soon as I knew you'd put 2 kilograms of muscle weight on, you obviously haven't got bigger muscles because you weigh small, you measure small all the way around, don't
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
That just tells me you're fueled up. That means you've got heaps of energy. I can see it in your eyes, you know. And if you've got more energy, every gram of glycogen takes in 4 grams of water with it, okay? Every litre of extra fuel that you've got in your body in the form of glycogen and fuel in your muscles weighs another kilo on the scales. So all you're doing is fueling up. So if the scales go up, I know you've got more energy.
Yeah.
Or if the scales stay the same, I still know you've got more energy, especially if you've lost 6 kilograms of fat, you know. So yeah, your body really wanted those ketones. And one of the things is, all of us, you know, this ancestral man here, when he's wandering along, might have got a kill at lunchtime on the 1st of June, might not have got another feed for another couple of days. He didn't get any carbohydrates. He didn't go, oh shit, we've just made a kill. Oh, we better find some leafy vegetables to go with it. Doesn't really sound right, eh? No, he would have actually ripped out the nice bits like the heart and kidneys, which are really high in nutrients. He probably would have ate them raw right on the spot. You know, yeah. And they probably would have roasted the thing up and had a good feed. Because we had fire going for about, I think 200,000 years or something, I'm not sure. Some say 20,000, some say 200,000. It's all different, you know, everyone has a different idea. But the thing is, we've had fire and we've cooked meat for a long time, okay? I even read somewhere just the other day that they found a longhorn type of cattle in Africa that was 1.5 million years old. So, and we all came out of Africa according to all the things. So we've been evolving on this stuff for a long, long time, you know. So to make it a bad thing is, to make meat a bad thing is just insane. The person that eats whatever he likes, obviously his genes allow him, you know, he's got his things under control. But the person whose insulin swings up and down a lot, they're going to be storing body fat and they're going to be feeling hungry all the time. And so the only thing they can do, this is what I can see, is to stop eating carbs, give your body a chance to get its hormonal balance back. When the weight drops off, and you can start adding some carbohydrates if you want to, and if you're going to, just add in the low calorie ones here. Because it's these colours that give you, see that you get your carotene from here, and you get your iron and calcium from these. You see what I'm saying? It's the bright colours you want if you want some decent minerals and vitamins here. You eat these high carbohydrate ones here, all you're doing is stripping vitamins and minerals from your body. They won't even give you any. They haven't hardly got any in them, and they're going to strip it from you. And they're full of fibre, and they also are grain. We haven't evolved to grain. We didn't eat it for 2 million years, and then the Egyptians came along, decided to start farming, and they started turning bird seed into bread somehow. Who the hell told them to do that? I don't know. And ever since then, they started getting tooth decay, they started getting heart disease, they started getting obese, they started getting joint problems, and all the modern diseases of civilization started right there. It wasn't just the Egyptians, it kind of started around about the same time, you know, within 5,000 or 10,000 years all around the world in different spots. But I'll just blame the Egyptians because they're easier.
And it's a food pyramid.
It's a food pyramid, yeah, they probably started that too. So agriculture was the worst thing that could happen to us. Now, you've had a thing I wanted to talk about actually. It's thinking about food.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a thing we need to cover here, okay? Now, so let's start right back. People go, oh, that person's overweight, so they used to think, well, they're lazy and they don't eat good. They've got no willpower, man, you know, I'm good and shit, you know. You know what I'm saying? That's not true, is it? You can see now, if you're eating carbohydrates, you just don't have a choice. If your body is insulin resistant in your muscle cells and it stores fat like that, well, you're going to be hungry all the time. It must be hell. You know, it must be hard for those people. If they just change things and switch things around, suddenly you lose hunger and you're losing body fat. It's really motivating, eh? And then you feel like doing something.
Yeah.
Shit, even better. You see what I'm saying? Now, what I used to think was, well, people get cravings, eh? If people like savoury stuff, or they like salty stuff, or they like sweet stuff, and most people kind of like, you could just about find anyone who doesn't like chocolate or something like that, you know. And what they've found is that they've done these studies and they test people and see when do they secrete insulin, because they know insulin's the problem, right? And they found that, okay, your blood sugar's nice and level and you're not hungry, and you go and sit at a restaurant and you see this meal in front of you, your body starts immediately releasing insulin in preparation for the meal that's going to go down. It's getting ready for it. See, so you just released insulin, you haven't eaten anything. Now, if insulin has just been released in preparation, it's going to take all the energy that's in your bloodstream, anything, and it's just going to go and put it into fat cells, and it's going to stop you, you know, and what's going to happen? You're going to be hungry. And next thing you've got the meal in front of you, you're feeling hungry because insulin's just been released, and then you go and eat it. See what I'm saying?
How many times do you hear people say, oh, I didn't think I was actually that hungry?
And then they are.
And then
when
they
the
are.
meal's there, yeah. And now you know why.
Mm.
It's because your body releases insulin just thinking about it, or looking at it, or smelling it, or anything. Now I can get anyone here hungry if I want them to. I did someone today. Who was that? They came in and they said, yeah, I used to get peanut butter. I said, have you got a craving at the moment? She said, no. I said, well, close your eyes. And I said, think about what you like. And I said, what do you like? She goes, oh, milky chocolate's quite good. Yeah. And I go, well, what sort of wrapper is it in? She goes, oh, it's in a pickle wrapper. And I go, okay. And I said, well, in your mind, just open the wrapper. Can you hear it opening? She goes, yeah. And then she's going. And I said, can you smell it? I said, bring it up a bit closer in your mind and smell it. She goes, yeah, I can smell it. Yeah, I can smell it. I said, do you want to taste it? She goes, I know what it tastes like. And I said, what's you craving right now? She said, it's a 10. I mean, more than 10, it's a 10. I go, okay, see? I said, right now you've just released insulin. You're just making body fat right now, and you haven't even touched the stuff. Okay? So imagine now you're eating carbohydrates and you get hungry and you're thinking about it. You're releasing insulin before you even got the next sugar that you're looking for. So what the neat thing about this is, when you eat that fat and protein, you don't think about sugar and food, eh? Did you notice that?
Not
you don't think
nearly as
about it.
much.
It's
No.
only if someone comes along and waves something sugary in front of you, or tempts you with a, you know,
Yeah,
jam
but
sandwich or
that's where
something.
your mindset comes in too, and you think, well, because I did that with the kids with the ice creams, they
Yeah.
want an ice cream for dessert, and I said, okay, treat, we'll go down and grab an ice cream. And Ash had found that, oh, there's a new Memphis Meltdown, Rocky Road, and I love Rocky Road, one of my downfalls. And she had it, and she said, Mum, you're going to eat one. And as soon as I got it, I had it in my hand, and I said, nah, no, I'm not. I did not want it badly enough to ruin what I was doing.
Yeah.
So
Because
even
it was too exciting in the results, eh?
yeah. So I think you certainly don't crave it throughout the day. Certainly haven't had cravings, haven't been hungry,
Yeah.
and then at the times where you are presented with something like that, no, that's where I think your mindset just takes over, and you think, nah, stuff it. You don't want to ruin the results, not just for the sake of one ice cream. It's going to give you 5 minutes enjoyment.
And then 2 hours of feeling guilty.
Absolutely.
Well, here's the other thing, and Evelyn will vouch to this, eh, Evelyn?
Yeah.
One piece of bread for Evelyn, and she'll eat a whole loaf that weekend.
Yeah.
It just takes one loaf. It's like a smoker. He's quit smoking for a week or two, one smoke in your history. And for you, that Rocky Road might have been another Rocky Road tomorrow night. See what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah.
It's like that, eh?
Yeah.
And but Evelyn, if she stays away from it, she's fine. But as soon as you have one of something of bread, eh? And I'm thinking, well, how long do you have to stay off bread to lose this addiction thing, you know? Yeah. We'll see. Now, are there any questions?
You're talking about cutting out all carbohydrates completely.
Yep.
Is that forever, or is that for a short-term period?
Yeah, I keep trying to get to that, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the idea was to cut out the carbs for a certain amount of time. And Atkins said 2 weeks. Now, I don't know. It's, you know, I haven't tried it myself. But a lot of people have done Atkins diet, and they go, yeah, after 2 weeks you start eating some carbohydrates, and it was good. But for some reason they got off the track, you know, and they go, oh, I went on holiday and I got out of whack, you know, when you do, and then you don't come back, and then Weight Watchers get hold of you, or Jenny Craig got hold of me, oh, I'll try something different, you know, even though they lost like 20 kilograms or something. It's incredible. Everyone I've talked to has done Atkins, or done all meat and all fat and cut out the carbs, they've always got results. I haven't heard anyone who hasn't. Yeah. And they all agree they lose their hunger and they lose their cravings. Yeah. So I thought I'd do it for a couple of weeks. And then start adding some carbs and see how you feel. You know, you might find that, oh, that's good, I can add the carbs in now, you know. And you'll know, when you eat something like this, by the way, you eat some grains or something that's actually not good for you, boy, do you feel it. Eh?
Yeah.
And you'll know what's good for you. What did you eat that felt bad for you?
Is the bread
The bread.
Yeah.
Okay, you eat the bread and how do you feel?
like crap?
You feel like crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Bloated.
Bloating, yeah, this is one of the things that bread does. That there, bread and grains and cereals, they really block
Like
your hay.
intolerance, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. And so that's one of the first things that happens to people is they let the grains off. Oh, by the way, you took about a day to get used to not eating carbs, eh?
Yeah.
Took about a day. You took about one meal, or less than a day, eh?
Yeah.
Almost straight away, you go,
Yeah.
this is choice, eh?
Yeah.
And your friend, she,
Oh, Rachel.
3 days, she had headaches for
And
3
she-
days.
Chronic headaches.
Yeah, yeah,
But
okay.
she was a big carb eater, and
Huge.
sweets,
Yeah,
carbs and sweets were her main, you know,
yeah.
even her drinks and things like
Yeah.
that. And she did it, and she said for 3 days she had a stinking headache, and she
Yeah.
reckons it was just detoxing, just the body getting used to not
Yeah, yeah,
having it,
yeah.
and now she's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know, it's not, it might not be roses for some people, you know, but those are the 3 different things I've heard. People are immediately go, yeah, it's great, and others go, oh man, I was craving all day, but the next day I was fine, like everyone. And Rachel, she was having a hard job for 3 days, eh? You know, so,
Yeah.
You can have those reactions when you stop coffee in there as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, anything. See, I've never been a big eater of, as in bread and potatoes and things, but sugars, yes.
Yeah,
But I haven't had that reaction dropping my sugars out. So,
yeah.
but I have with dropping the breads and potatoes and things. It was a biggie for me.
Well, people want to go, what sort of meals do we eat, eh?
Mm.
Oh,
And it's
great.
It's not much. It's not. I mean, here's my idea. I get up in the morning and if I don't have 2 eggs on toast, I'll have half a dozen eggs and some cheese or something at the side, you know. Don't want anything. See you later. And then I come down to work and I wait till I'm hungry, and normally I'll whip down to KFC and get 3 chicken pieces. Now there's 8 grams of carbs on those chicken pieces, so I'm getting some carbs, but I'm getting a lot of fat and a lot of protein. And then I usually don't feel hungry again until
So
about
you
2 or
do
3
eat
o'clock.
some carbs, but you make sure it's only a small
Yeah,
proportion of what you eat.
yeah. I mean, I've always done this type of nutrition where I balance out my carbs anyway. I'm always very wary of my carbohydrates. I've always got lots of protein, but it used to be low in fat. And so, and because I had some carbs with it, I wasn't all that healthy. I could not get really healthy. I had, after my bodybuilding, I got chronic fatigue. You know, it took me a long time to get over that. I never really got over it until about 6 months ago when I started adding more fat. Yeah. And I thought, oh God, all this time I just known it was just fat I needed, you know. But anyway, you live and you learn, don't you? You've got to go through all the worst to find out. We was like, oh yeah, I'll go and get some KFC. And then I go over about 1 or 2 or 3 o'clock, probably 3 o'clock, and grab a Boss burger from McDonald's. You know? Yeah.
But take the bun off.
Well, yeah, I haven't taken the bun off yet, but I ate it again today and I had that bun. I thought, I wish I'd taken that damn bun off because I could
Yeah.
feel those carbs, eh? You know?
Even if you just took the top one off.
Took the top off.
Yeah,
That's what you
it
did,
pays
eh?
too because you can actually still hold it.
Yeah.
Don't drive and try and
Yeah.
trust me, there was
But
sauce
if you-
everywhere.
But if you eat it down at McDonald's, take the lid off, and the reason I say a Boss burger is it's got 2 yummy bits of patties in it, okay? Take the top off and chuck it before you're tempted, and then, because you can always go and get plastic knives and spoons, you could eat it in that thing, you know?
Does it matter, like, because some meat is processed, does that matter? Like,
Oh
is it
yeah, no, we
processed,
could get
like-
into the, you know, should eat organic meat and blah blah blah. If you can, try and get grass-fed beef. So everything from McDonald's will be New Zealand beef, so you know that. You know, you've got good fats in it, yeah. Sure there'll be some processing and stuff in it, but you know, health.
But you know it's full of fat and you're allowed that. So it
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
you know, yeah.
Yeah,
But it's full of
that's good,
saturated fat, you know, okay, it's good stuff, yeah, so it hasn't, you know. You can get right into the health buzz and eat organic and raw and eat and all this sort of stuff, you know, but it's just, you can get deeper and deeper and deeper. We just want about to have something simple, yeah, you know, and for me that's simple. I eat at home with the family and I eat dinner with the family. In between, I only eat a couple of meals. I used to eat 5-6 meals a day when I was eating carbs all the time, small meals, trying to shrink my stomach and all that sort of stuff, you know, and never really being satisfied after the meal. Well, now I go and fill myself up. Bloody good. Yeah, it's
So
good.
there's no portion, so you know, like you know.
No, you eat till you're full.
You
You
will
eat till you're
know.
full.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You
yeah,
will know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
your portion size will change
Yeah.
yeah.
just as you go.
Now that's interesting what she's saying here.
Yeah, I can't eat as much now, and I did. I ate till I was full.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said it the other day about the KFC thing, because I don't know, it just feels totally wrong when you're trying to lose weight and you
Well,
go
you
to
see-
KFC.
You see
Yeah.
somebody that's overweight going to KFC, you think they should
Never stand up here just so the camera can hear, you know, come up here because you might be talking away and I want people listening to you. I told this girl, I said, I said, Cara, I go down to KFC because they've got $6 for 3 pieces special. It's normally $2.50 each, eh?
Yeah.
And I said, and I can eat 3 pieces. And Rachel said, oh, I couldn't eat 3. And you said, I could.
I could eat
And then so you came back and you told me today.
we had KFC last night. Yeah, I just got through my second piece. In fact, I threw the last little bits of my second piece away. And the other one was a lamb shank. Now, I could have chowed down on 2 lamb shanks, and I made them the other day, and because I was only eating the meat, I thought, well, I'll take the biggest one, the kids can have the small ones. Yeah, I didn't even finish my lamb shank. Couldn't, just not full. And that was, I ate mine probably about 8 o'clock at night, because I wasn't ready to eat with the kids, just wasn't hungry.
So what do you think's going on here? Do you think your body's going, hey, we've got penny energy?
Yeah, I think so, because it's
You
not
just don't need to eat this.
it's not a stomach shrinking thing, because in the morning for breakfast, I ate a big breakfast.
Yeah.
And I've never done that before. But I'm hungry when well, not hungry, but I'm ready for food when I get up in the morning, and I eat and 3 or 4 eggs. I could have bought a dozen eggs and they'd go rotten in my cupboard after a month. Now I'm eating over a dozen a week. Yeah. But it is amazing.
So this is quite interesting. We do it for 2 weeks and the amount she eats is dropping back because she simply can't. You know, that's
by
interesting,
afternoon,
isn't it?
just not, just
You
not
just eat until
hungry.
you're full or satisfied, one or the
Yeah.
other, eh?
And you sort of get halfway, like the lamb shank, I thought, oh, no, I can't do that. Full.
Yeah.
But what you were saying about the carbohydrates, and that there's obviously some in, because there is with even this here, has got a small amount of, I can't
Chop chicken, this is by the way.
remember, chop, what is it, 3.2 grams. And like you said, the KFC outing's got 4. I don't count that as a carbohydrate. When I say I've left all my carbs out, it's just the obvious ones like your, pretty much potatoes, all veggies, don't do any veggies now.
Yeah.
Avocados I still eat.
Which
Don't
is a
eat
fat.
any, pardon?
Which is a fat.
Fat, yeah. Don't eat any bread. Haven't had bread for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Haven't had an ounce bread. Biscuits, nothing. The only thing I will eat as far as a muesli bar was concerned, and only because it wasn't home, and I just bought a nut, one of those nuts.
Trying to get something with lots of nuts in it. Good idea.
Yeah, it was just all nuts. It had, it was one of those macadamia ones or something, I think, and it had a drizzle of honey or something over it, but it was just like nuts, whole nuts. So there's carbs in that. But yeah, so there is trace carbs in quite a few of the things that we eat, but I haven't counted those at all. So.
By the way, a few people do this. The reason I want you guys to do it, and we all start like next weekend or next Monday or something, because I want feedback. Because there's a few things I want, there's questions I want. And one of the questions is, see these things here? And these. So this is artificially sweetened protein powder. And it seems to work all right, but will it give you the sweet tooth and want sweet stuff? Will it increase your insulin even though there's no sugar in it? Because I told you about, I don't know if I told you about the test, they got some people and they put sugar on their tongue and their insulin came up, okay? And so they got another group of people and they put saccharin on their tongue, which is no sugar, but it was sweet. Their insulin came up. Remember I told you about I got the lady to think about chocolate and her insulin came up. Well, I'm sure it did because she was salivary and she had a craving for it, okay? Now we did the emotional freedom technique for it and it went away again, just tapping on here. You know, and I've done that for a few of you.
Yeah, well, you need to explain that. I've never seen
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Oh, well, I'll explain it now. Emotional freedom technique is just using acupressure points, and it's a series of points. You start on the karate chop point, and you've got one here, and one here, and one there, and one there, and you tap on it, thinking about the craving. I've got a DVD out, and it's on the website anyway, for anyone who ever watch it. It's called EFT for food cravings, and I had a whole group of ladies, and we all just did it together, and they all lost their cravings just right there and there. And but I found that the more I do it, the less we need to tap, and we just find that tapping there, thinking about the craving, and it goes. It's really quite simple. Sounds too simple, eh?
So we'll be all walking around town going,
Unless you're going
really
to
quite simple.
KFC, then we're okay.
oh, McDonald's.
But it'll go within 30 seconds, the craving. Some people it goes from 10, like a craving of 0 to 10, and they're at 10. I can tap on here, and they go, actually I'm having trouble thinking about it. I can't think about it. I said, try and think about it, and they can't. They can't think about it. It's just not, it's not harassing them anymore. Yeah. So it's either emotional attachment to it, or it's something to do with the insulin response, or both. Who knows? It doesn't really matter. We found a way to get around that. Yeah, so the other thing is these cookies, these protein cookies. They're really good. I really like them. But if I have 2, start farting. So I only make sure I have one. Hey, did you too? Oh, so I'm not the only one. You see, to find these things out if you're not shy about telling people what's going on. Yeah, I take them to golf and they're really handy, and I don't really feel like pulling out a lamb shank when I'm playing golf. So I thought, well, I'll just take one to play golf, you know. But they don't make me crave sweet stuff, but they might make some people crave sweet stuff. I
Yes,
just
so
don't
that's
know.
why I haven't taken them.
Yeah,
'Cause
you're too afraid
So
to,
I
just in
reckon
case.
they actually satisfy the if you like to have sweetness. I mean,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it sort of you feel like you're having a bit of a treat when
Better
you
that
have
than
You
a
them.
bar of
do.
chocolate.
Yeah, it is. So if you're going to crave something and you can go for something bad, you might as well go for this because it feels
Absolutely.
like you are being bad, but
Yeah.
you're not. Sort of
Yeah.
thing. So yeah, they're quite handy. The protein cookies I found pretty good. And these and protein shakes are handy too. You might wake up in the middle of the night hungry one night, or you just go and have a shake.
No,
You
you really
just
won't.
go, oh, I've got something to
always
sleep.
won't.
I feel like going to sleep again. You know
That's another thing, sleeping.
what?
You sleep.
You sleep good.
Yeah, but whether it was, I don't know what it was, the first couple of nights that I did it, I had the most horrendous nightmares, and I've never had nightmares,
Yeah.
and they were fucking awful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nightmares.
woke up, oh, awful. And then after that, sleep, go to bed, sleep. Instead of tossing and turning all night, which I used to do, and I wake up 3 o'clock in the morning, you know what am I going to do? And go back to sleep, and then when an alarm went off at 7 o'clock, I was like, oh, I really don't want to get out of bed. Now I sleep through every morning, generally awake before my alarm.
Yeah.
Mm.
So sleep's
Sleep better.
improved. Yeah. And you think about it, you know, Eskimos, you know, they don't grow a lot of vegetables out in the snow. and in those Tokalayans, they didn't have any. The Indians, North American Indians, all the Indians, heaps and heaps of tribes, they don't have many vegetables and stuff, you know, they might forage around and get berries and stuff at certain times of the year and seeds and nuts and stuff, but they just eat their kills, you know, they go kill something and eat it, yeah.
See, it's quite funny that because I had the same results as Cara when my first 2 weeks,
Yeah.
when I dropped the bread, and I lost exactly the same 6 kgs of fat,
Did you?
gained
Yeah.
2.5 muscle,
Yeah.
and then I did the guinea pig thing on me and added the bread back in after 2 weeks, and that's where I went wrong.
And you've had trouble ever